2 Samuel chapter 9. David and Mephibosheth. David asked, "Is there anyone left of the house of Saul to whom I can show kindness for the sake of Jonathan?" So they called a servant of Saul named Ziba and brought him to David. The king asked him, "Are you Ziba?" He replied, "I am your servant." Then the king asked him, "Is there still someone of the house of Saul to whom I can show God's favor?" Ziba answered the king, "A son of Jonathan whose feet are crippled still lives." The king asked him, "Where is he?" And Ziba replied, "He is in the house of Machir, son of Ammiel at Lodebar." So King David sent for him and had him brought from the house of Machir, son of Ammiel at Lodebar. When Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, son of Saul, arrived, he fell on the ground and paid homage to David, who said, "Mephibosheth," he replied, "I am your servant." David then told him, "Do not be afraid. I will do you a favor for the sake of your father Jonathan and give you back all the land of Saul your grandfather. Besides, you shall always eat at my table." He bowed down and said, "What is your servant that you should show concern for a dead dog like myself?" The king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, "I have turned over to your master's son everything that Saul and his family possessed. You yourself, your sons and servants, shall till the land for him and carry in the harvest so that your master's family may have food, although your master's son Mephibosheth shall always eat at my table." Ziba, who had 15 sons and 20 servants, said to the king, "Your servant will do whatever my lord the king commands." Mephibosheth ate at the royal table like a king's son. Mephibosheth had a young son named Micah, and all who lived in Ziba's house became Mephibosheth's servants. But Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he always ate at the king's table. He was crippled in both feet. 2 Samuel chapter 10. Ammonites and the Arameans defeated. When the king of the Ammonites died and Hanun his son reigned in his place, David said, "I will be kind to Hanun son of Nahash as his father was kind to me." So David sent his servants to comfort him over his father's death. When David's servants arrived in the land of the Ammonite chiefs told Hanun their lord, "Do you think that David is honoring your father by sending men with condolences? Has not David rather sent his servants to you to explore the city, spy on it, and overthrow it?" At this, Hanun seized David's servants, shaved off half their beard, cut away the lower halves of their garments, even up to their hips, and sent them away. When this was reported to David, he sent messengers to meet these men who had been so greatly humiliated. He said to them, "Stay in Jericho and return after your beards have grown." The Ammonites saw that David could no longer bear with them, so they sent for and hired the Arameans of Beth-rehob and of Zobah, numbering 20,000 foot soldiers. The king of Maacah with 1,000 men and also 12,000 men of Tob. On hearing this, David sent out Joab with all the warriors. The Ammonites came out in battle formation at the entrance to their city gate, while the Arameans of Zobah and Rehob and the men of Tob and Maacah grouped separately in the open country. When Joab saw that there were two battle fronts, one in front of him and the other behind, he selected picked men of Israel and arranged them in battle formation against the Arameans. Then he entrusted the rest of his army to Abishai his brother and arranged them in battle formation against the Ammonites. And he said, "If the Arameans are too strong for me, you shall help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, I will come to your assistance. Take courage, let us fight bravely for the sake of our people and for the cities of our God, and may the Lord do what seems good to him." Joab and the people who were with him launched the attack against the Arameans and put them to flight. When the Ammonites saw the Arameans fleeing, they too fled before Abishai and entered the city. Then Joab returned from his battle against the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. When the Arameans saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they gathered together. Hadadezer sent for the Arameans and had them brought from beyond the Euphrates. They came to Hilam with Shobach, the commander of Hadadezer's army, leading them. This was reported to David, who in turn gathered together all Israel and came to Hilam after crossing the Jordan. The Arameans then arranged themselves in battle formation and fought against David. But they fled before Israel, and David had 700 of the men in chariots and 40,000 horsemen killed. Shobach, too, the commander of the army, was wounded and he died there. After having been defeated by Israel, all the kings who depended on Hadadezer made peace with Israel and became subjects to them. So the Arameans no longer dared to help the Ammonites. Psalm 125. The Lord, the protector of Israel. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which is unshakable and stands forever. As mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people both now and forever. The scepter of the wicked will not remain over the land allotted to the upright, and for then the upright might learn to put their hands to evil deeds. Be good, O Lord, to those who are good, to those who are upright in heart. But those who turn to crooked ways, the Lord will drive out with the evildoers. May peace remain upon Israel. John chapter 2, the wedding at Cana. On the third day there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus was also invited to the wedding with the disciples. When all the wine provided for the celebration had been served and they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus replied, "Woman, what do you want from me? My hour has not yet come." And his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby there were 6 stone water jars meant for the ritual washing as practiced by the Jews. Each jar could hold 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them to the brim. Then Jesus said, "Now draw some out and take it to the steward." So they took it. The steward tasted the water that had been turned into wine without knowing where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. So he immediately called the bridegroom and told him, "Everyone serves the best wine first, and when people have drunk enough, he serves that which is ordinary. Instead, you have kept the best wine until the end." This miraculous sign was the first that Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. In this way, he manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, Jesus went down to Capernaum with his mother, his brothers, and his disciples, and they stayed there for a few days. The cleansing of the temple. As the Passover of the Jews was at hand, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple court, he found merchants selling oxen, sheep, and doves, and money changers sitting at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple court, together with the oxen and the sheep. He knocked over the tables of the money changers, scattering the coins, and ordered the people selling the doves, "Take all this away and stop turning my Father's house into a marketplace." His disciples recalled the words of Scripture, "Zeal for your house consumes me like a fire." The Jews then questioned Jesus, "What sign can you show us which proves you're right to do this?" And Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then replied, "The building of this temple was taken 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days. Actually, Jesus was referring to the temple of his body. Only when he had risen from the dead did his disciples remember these words. Then they believed both the Scripture and the words Jesus had spoken. Jesus stayed in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, and many believed in his name when they saw the miraculous signs he performed. But Jesus did not trust himself to them because he knew all of them. He had no need of evidence about anyone, for he himself knew what was their human nature.